Welcome everyone to another episode of the BOLA BOLLA Show podcast. Now, as we are in the middle of a restriction movement order because of the whole COVID-19 thing, of course, there's not much of football activities going on out there. But that doesn't mean the conversation stops. When it comes to football, us football fans can talk about this beautiful game until the cows come home. So we decided that maybe it's a good time for us to bring our first ever featured guest on the Bola Bola Show podcast. Now, just exactly who am I referring to? Well, you just have to wait to find out. Now, in case you didn't know, 2020 would have been the 30th anniversary of the Malaysian FA Cup. Yes, or Piala FA as we like to call it. This competition was introduced in 1990 by FAM. I believe the whole idea was to have a similar competition just like its famous band name from the United Kingdom, a knockout competition among the team participating in it. Of course, over the years, there has been so many memorable finals, and I believed in our first ever episode, Bala had mentioned that his first ever football memory was in fact the first ever final between Selangor versus Perak. And let's hear a little bit more from Bala exactly what was that final all about.
Well, like I said before, the first time I watched football was in 1990, whereby I was in Standard 4 or 10 years old that time. The game was Selangor versus Perak. So that Selangor team was very strong and was a very exciting team with KL Rovers as a goalkeeper, a World Cup goalkeeper actually, for Czech Republic, followed by a few Malaysian internationals such as K. Gunalan, Zainal Abidin and Zora Saleh, and followed by a few imports such as Zoran Nikolic. And also they have A. Jayakantan as part of the Malaysian team. It was quite a strong team. And Perak, I think, won the game as an underdog. And when the game started, I remember it was a night and everybody was watching. My family, people, everybody was there. And without further ado, the first half was totally controlled by Selangor. They went 2 goals ahead within a short span of time, and they was controlling the game. So first half looked like it was done and dusted, and Selangor was expected to breeze through in the second half against Perak. But Perak gave us all the surprise that we couldn't see, whereby they came back not only strongly, but we totally ambitiously came in like a Liverpool comeback against AC Milan. But this time wasn't for 3-3 draw, but they beat Selangor with 4-2 scoreline. I think there was a few Myanmar players in their squad who also was supporting them, who was playing for them, such as Myung Win, and also I think they have a Korean player, Jang Jun. So yeah, I think that was the part of this strong Perak team as well. And kudos to M. Karatu for coming out strongly and made a massive comeback for the team, and to be officially becoming the first FA Cup Malaysian FA Cup winner. So kudos to Perak team, and I think even though I remember after the game finished I was crying, but come to think about it, one of the good performance for Perak, and also as football fan, especially Malaysian myself.
So there you have it, the 1990 famous FA Cup final between Selangor versus Perak. I'm sure even when I look back at all the list of finals that have taken place in the FA Cup, that certainly is winning. I will say it's one of the most famous match ever. But of course, for Elwin, from his personal experience, he recognized the FA Cup that took place a year after, which in fact was a sweet result for his beloved team Selangor. So, let's hear from Elwin exactly what was that final all about.
Yeah, Stephen. So, for me, a memorable FA Cup will be the 1991 FA Cup final. Also, a repeat of the 1990 final between Selangor and Perak. Of course, not as exciting as the 1990 final between Selangor and Perak, but this one was definitely sweet revenge for Selangor, where it was a tight match, and in the end Selangor defeated Perak 1-0 thanks to a goal by the Captain Marvel Ismail Ibrahim, right? So Ismail Ibrahim definitely led the team by example and also scoring the winning goal in that final. And not to mention Selangor having lots of stalwarts in the team as well, or recognizable defenders like K. Gunalan as well was very solid at the back, preventing Perak from doing any damage. As what happened 1 year ago, where Azizul Abu Hanifa was very influential, I would say, in for this final. He was completely marked out. Selangor also was very well coached by none other than the legendary Ken Warden. Yeah, so Ken Warden was definitely another inspirational coach for Selangor during the 90s. And all of us growing up in that era of the 90s, where we are in our primary school, going into the secondary school and all that, we always looked up to Ken Warden as a great coach. Regardless, having said that, despite Selangor winning, to me, the Malaysian FA Cup history, it may not be as rich as the Malaysia Cup itself, but it has definitely given us quite a number of interesting finals. But I will still always go back to the first final between Perak and Selangor, where Perak won 4-2 as the most exciting and best ever FA Cup final till today. So for me, 1991 Selangor got their revenge, but the best cup final is still the 1990 final. You can't get a better game than that in the FA Cup, guys. Yeah.
So there you have it, with both Bala and Elwin giving us, their thoughts on what are their most memorable FA Cup final. As for me personally, if I were to look back, the most memorable ones, I would say first will be the 1992 edition between Sarawak and KL. For the first time ever, the FA Cup travelled back to Borneo because Sarawak won the final 1-0, if I'm not mistaken, goal scored by John Hunter. And then a couple of years later, Sabah did the same thing, whereby they demolished Pahang 3-1. What a magnificent Sabah team that was. It had, Scott Lorenzo, Matlat Marjan, and so many other players. So, they took the cup back to Borneo for the second time. And of course, in recent time, I will remember also the 2013 edition, because that was one hell of a final. The build-up was just so momentous because both JDT and Kelantan were, playing in that final. It's almost as if like it was, a passing, a baton being passed from one dominant team of Malaysian football to another dominant team of Malaysian football. So, this is basically what we will say the most memorable finals that all three of us can remember. Now, coming back to the FA Cup, as you all know, throughout its history, the FA Cup was only restricted to professional teams, basically state FA teams. And then at some point later, clubs that were operating on a professional level were also taking part of this competition. But over the last few years, FAM decided to open the door for social, amateur-based clubs and semi-pro clubs as well. For me personally, it's a good move because it's, in a way, it's similarly like what the FA Cup in England is. If you know the FA Cup in England, basically, the team from the lower levels, the regional leagues and all that, they will compete in the earlier stage, and then it's only later on whereby they will come and join together with all the teams in the English Football League system. So, I personally think it's a good call by FAM to open the doors, to give opportunities and exposure for all these clubs, at least, give them a chance to see, to test their level exactly where they are compared to, all these more established and high budget team. So, kudos to FAM for taking that initiative. Now, among these teams, there's a team by the name of KL Rovers. Now, just shed a bit of light about them, because why did we choose KL Rovers to become our featured guest? Because in one of our recording in the earlier episode, I remember we got a tweet from them saying that they want to be part of the show, and we were really overwhelmed by that response. So we decided that, we wanted to track them down and get somebody from their side to come and talk with us. We also happened to do a little bit of Google check on their team, and we realized that actually this is a club that is, not too bad. They have a surprisingly, they even have a Wikipedia page for themselves, which is, I would say, wow, not bad. And we also noticed, in the squad there's a few import players, in particularly a very peculiar name, Sergio Aguero. Not the Sergio Aguero that you all know, a different Sergio Aguero, also from Argentina. And basically, we decided to contact them, and we had the privilege of getting to know by someone of the name of Najib Qadry, who happens to be the assistant coach of KL Rovers. Okay, so let us share a bit of with you guys on Najib's background. Basically, he represented Malaysian Sports School Bandar Penawa, today is known as Sekolah Sukan Tunku Makoto Ismail, for the Under-18 Malaysian Youth Cup. He have also called up for the Under-14 national team to play in the AFC Under-14 Carnival in Bangkok, Thailand. Represented Johor in the Nike Cup competition, which they became champion, and also represented Selangor in the Nike Cup, as also represent KL for the Under-18 Malaysian Youth Cup. And what I would say intrigued us a lot about Najib throughout this conversation is his passion and dedication to help Malaysian football in any small, big way that he can do. And, from the conversation we had, we can actually see just how passionate he is in trying to help local football players, trying to give them, something to look forward to. That's something that I would say all three of us really admire about him. And not to mention the fact that throughout our conversation, we learn quite a lot of things on the Malaysian football scene. The interesting part is that, the why that all these semi-pro and amateur clubs have came about. Because over the years, there have been so many football players that are left with nowhere to go. A lot of these players are basically, state teams or President Cup teams of the state teams, which are all became surplus to requirement. And this is where teams like KL Rovers come in, because they are able to give opportunities for these football players to continue what they do best, which is play football. I mean, you just have to imagine, if your skill to make a living is only through football, and you don't have a team to play, it must be tough for a lot of these players. So yes, kudos to all, not just for KL Rovers, but for all the other amateur and semi-pro clubs out there that are doing their part in helping these football players. Now, with regards to KL Rovers season, they did play a team called Southern FC in the first round of the FA Cup, which they beat them convincingly by 4-1. And by virtue of that, they were qualified for the next round, whereby most of the Super League and Premier League teams will come into the FA Cup competition. And thanks to the Midas touch of none other than Dato' K. Rajagopal during the FA Cup draw, KL Rovers were handed over a tie to play against none other than JDT. Now, of course, JDT, as far as I would say, they are, perhaps one of the best teams in Asia, and not in Asia, I would say Southeast Asia, but definitely one of the most promising teams in Asia. Everyone at the continent definitely knows what JDT is all about. So for a team like KL Rovers, the opportunity to share the same feel with them, must be a real overwhelming scenario. And in fact, when one looks at this particular fixture, he has all the ingredients that could turn out to be a classic FA Cup. The David versus Goliath, the possibility of a giant killing taking place. It's all in there. So, really, I can imagine, what are the feelings among the players, the coaching staff is like, knowing that, they're going to take the field and play against, one of the giants of Southeast Asian football. But unfortunately, that fixture had to be postponed until further notice, because as the COVID-19 issues became more worse, just like everywhere else in the world, FEM have decided that all football activities will be postponed until, when the situation improves. So unfortunately, that game that's supposed to take place somewhere in the middle of March, of course, it didn't take place at the time. So bear in mind that, a lot of the interview took place prior to all this announcement. So hope you guys don't get confused throughout the whole interview as well. Now, before that, we also like to apologize on the quality of the sound of the interview because this interview was done in a cafe somewhere near Ampang. You know, it was in an open situation whereby we were having a cup of coffee and having just a casual conversation with a handphone, recording our conversation. So you're bound to hear a lot of background noises here and there, but rest assured that all the main ingredients of the conversation is well captured in this podcast, so you will definitely hear everything, and I hope that you enjoy the interview as well. But before we go into the interview, also we would like to thank a friend of ours by the name of Nizam, tweet handler Nizam Archibald, passionate KL and Manchester United supporter, for helping us to make this interview possible, because it was through him that he got us connected to Najib. And of course, we also thank Najib for coming on board to join us for this conversation as well. So thank you to both of you guys so much. With that said and done, let's get on to the interview. Okay, so as promised, this is our first ever special guest for the Bola Bola Show podcast. We got someone here from KL Rovers. In fact, KL Rovers was the first team that replied to our tweet on Twitter account. So we said we have to take this opportunity to interview them. We can't let them go. So we managed to get someone by the name of Najib. But hold on, we're not talking about the Najib. This is different Najib altogether. So without further ado, first question is, okay, Cik Najib, maybe you want to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Alright. Hi. First of all, thank you so much. Thank you so much for let this small team. In this podcast interview. Okay. My name is Najib. I'm an assistant manager of KL Rovers. We play in the M3 league or division, third division, Malaysia third division. I think it's good. I think so far it's okay for the introduction, is it?
Yeah, so far okay. I mean, if you have anything to share, you can just add on, no problem.
Alright, okay.
Alright, so next question. Okay, Elwin, gonna ask?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so Najib, so KL Rovers was formed in this year, 2020. Yeah, so relatively very new lah. So maybe you can highlight to our listeners like what are the challenges, to start a new club, like all the challenges, any issues, anything that you face lah so far on your journey lah. Even though now it's like 3 months, but I'm sure still right
Yes.
it's going to be a journey for you lah. Yeah.
To be honest, it's a tough one because we started from the scratch, from zero, from nothing. It's just a name only. Before this, it's not the KL Rovers. The first yang kita propose to MFL is KL 2. It's a feeder team, but after we send the official punya to apply the official application, but MFL tolak kita lah because of why I understand that kita kena at least apply for 6 months earlier, so that they can they can process the application. So it's okay. So but the slot is still there. So we just have to change the name. So after the discussion, there's a lot of name coming lah, macam-macam. So we came to the KL Rovers. So that one is early January. So after that, and then I'm with Ashraf. Ashraf Mazlan is my manager. Thinking who is the best candidate for the coach.
Okay.
Obviously we to be honest, me is 23 years old. My manager is 37 years old. So we want the coach yang muda.
Okay.
He's a young coach, and again the the exact the objective for this team is to give exposure as much as we can to the local. So a few names came after masa tu. Nazrul Erwan, Rudy Ramli, and then a few ex-players. So after we interview, then we decided to take Nazrul Erwan from Puchong Fuenza. Puchong Fuenza, last time we also played in the M3 punya Liga juga. So after we form, we jumpa the head coach, and then kita interview the assistant, and then the physical coach, physio, and so on lah. And last is a goalkeeper coach. So after we form the coaching staff, baru kita decided, kita cakap dengan the coaching staff, you decide the player, because it's your player, not us. Our job is just to make sure that everything went well. Otherwise in the field is you responsible. So kita tak nak masuk campur, because I know that bila kita masuk campur, the players the cable lah, nak pakai cable, nak main call here and there, hantar anak untuk main lah. We don't want that. Because that one akan rosakkan distract the harmony of the team. So we decided that coach decide the players. We call for the closed session of selection dekat Academy KL Melati. We did for 4 days, 4 straight days for the selection, and included a friendly game with the Selangor Dua. The selection is included, and we won. Surprisingly, we won. I think because of before we signed the player lah kot. After sign that, no more lah. Everyone will to compete, to show that. So we decided to sign 30 players in early February, and then we faced the first game of FA qualifying on, I think, second week of February. So it's very short. In short, the chemistry, I can say that it's not 100% yet, but the momentum is, I can see the momentum.
Okay. Alright, good.
Okay, speaking about youngsters in the future, I think basically you have a long vision, and you keep on supporting local players for the performance, everything. So I think your team emphasizing more on youngsters, right? So do you have any plan for them in the future, maybe to expand, maybe have an academy, so that this so-called grassroots guys can actually excel in your team? What do you say about that?
To be honest, yes, but not in the meantime. I think it's a 5 or 10 years plan, because one of the requirements to play in the Super League is you have to have a youth program, youth development program. The under 21, the under 19, under 17 to get the AFC license. So even if we got the chance to win the FA Cup, then we got a slot for the AFC.
Yes.
So then we have to comply all the license. So
AFC here means AFC means
Asia Football Confederation. So the requirement, the license you have to the need that is under 21, under 19, under 17. That's good. I think if not then the plan is there, but it's take about 5 to 10 years, because first we have to have the proper ground of the training, so that we have the proper academy. Kita tak nak buka academy yang just open the academy here and there, the style of just other, we don't want that. We need a proper plan to have the academy itself.
Okay, how about you, Steven? You want to ask the first question?
What's the next question?
Preparation.
Okay, so far, now that you guys are going to your 3rd month, so how has been the progress so far in this season? Especially that you are already involved in the FA Cup, and also the M3 League just kicked off last weekend. So far, how has been the progress for KL Rovers?
I can say good. The well progress, especially to the players. They give a good cooperation to the management. They show the committed in every training, in every game. I'm glad that I have this all the 30 players yang memang betul datang nak main. It's not because of the money. They came here to play, to show that they are worth what we pay for. So far, I can say as I said earlier, the chemistry is not 100% yet, but the momentum is there. It's good.
Great. Okay, Najib. The next thing I would like to ask, and in fact, you guys are undefeated now, some more, right? So as you the undefeated KL Rovers, yeah. So basically, would like to let our listeners know what are your targets you guys set for this year, in terms of M3, and the FA Cup and all the competitions that you guys are taking part. Yeah.
No. I'm not sure we call it undefeated for 3 games ni. Dia still consider undefeated ke macam mana? Okay, but thank you. But obviously we want to get promoted to the M League lah. And that's our target. For whatever that we spend this year is actually to prepare the team for the upcoming M League season next year. That's our target. But we know that it's not easy. We can take for granted each game. I ask the player for the commitment, the 100% commitment, because of we cannot simply to see to underestimate the teams. The M3 also quite competitive sebenarnya. It's quite competitive. So more even we play Manjong last week. So, the player is more under 25. And they even they don't have an import player. So it's quite tough juga untuk kita untuk kita biasa. But again, we want to be a champion of M3, and we are looking forward to play in the M League next year.
Okay, we move on to the next question now. So as Elwin has said, you guys are undefeated. In one of those games, actually, you all beat Southern FC 4-1, a team from Klang, which Klangful as well, none of us knew about it. Okay, and the prize for that victory is that you guys, thanks to the magical hand of Dato' K Rajagopal, have paired you guys to play against none other than JDT in the FA Cup round of 32.
Yes. Yeah.
So okay, I think this is a huge deal for KL Rovers. So basically now, how are you guys going to prepare for this game, and what was the most important thing you're going to tell your players about this game?
Let me share sikit lah pasal the moment that bila the JDT came, the name of JDT came, I was like, I kesat air mata. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to react.
Is it a joy of happiness?
I don't know, but for the positive side, is good, very good exposure to our teams, especially small teams. And I difahamkan the game will be live on RTM on Wednesday, 18 March, 9 PM. So I tell to the players, look, next week is gonna be a tough week for us. This coming Saturday we will match against Harini. It's quite a tough team. And then the Wednesday we're playing JDT, and then Saturday we have another league game playing with the Thai Selangor. So it's tough for the week. I said to the player, we work as usual. Don't pressure your mind. Enjoy the games. This is only the best exposure to us, especially on the after the kita diundi to against to draw to gains JDT, especially kita punya social media the hype the lain macam. So happy very happy. At the same time, it's a tough game. We have to be realistic on this matter. No, we're facing I can say the top five. What we call it, Southeast Asia team. Play in the Champions League. They won the AFC Cup. 6-time Super League champion. So we have to, on paper, we have to be realistic. But bola to bulat, anything can happen.
Yeah.
I said to the players, we play all out. There's no term of man defending or apa. We play open games. We play as usual game. Play as usual business. Nothing to lose.
Yes.
You know? Again, exposure to players to face an experienced player on the fields. We also have an experienced player, but I said to the experienced player, it's impossible, but anything can happen. So if you ask me about confidence, I don't have any percent of the confidence, but I'm glad, I've enjoyed, I'm happy to get that draw, and what I can say to JDT, we wait for you in the Cheras next week.
All right. So, JDT, if you are listening to this, remember, welcome to KL Rovers. All right, last question. So, Bala, here you go.
All right. I think you already started the club beginning of the year, and I think there's a lot of ambitious, a lot of vision you have for the club. Maybe you would like to share with our listeners, or even to the world, what are the 3 specific things about KL Rovers? What's so special about KL Rovers? I know it's a new club, but anything you want to add on? Maybe you can share with us.
The 3 things that
Even 4 or 5
okay. The best that we had now, we're having now is we have 2 experienced import players. One is Davy Angan, is from Malacca last season, and another one is Sergio Aguero. Not that Sergio Aguero, it's Sergio Aguero. Last year he was with Selangor United. I think Selangor United. Yeah, Selangor United. No, sorry. Penang is the last team. Before Penang is Selangor United. So we also have Hafiz Kamal, ex-national player, ex-Pahang players, Perak captains, last time with PKNP, and then we have a nice JC, I think. Because we wear typical Wilayah's flag. It's a blue, red and white. So to the listener, you can get the JC at the kakijc.com. It's now, I think they got promo. 1 piece is 60 ringgit, and then 2 pieces for 100 ringgit. You can get it now at Kaki JC. I think they dah buka for the pre-order. Home JC is a stripe, and then away JC is a dark blue with the gold numbers. So you can check out You can check out the picture at the kakijc.com, or also dekat kita punya social media. We have Instagram, we have Twitters and Facebooks. All the same names is KL Rovers. KL Rovers.
Yeah.
Right.
Alright. Okay, so last but not least, Najib, any last words you want to share with us or want to share to our listeners?
Again, thank you so much, Bola Bola Show, for give the KL Rovers the opportunity. We are small teams, we are new teams, but with the big dreams, But again, what I can say, please, the listener, please do support our locals.
Yes.
League, no matter what teams supports, the leagues needs us to support them. Bring back the glory of the Malaysia leagues, like the 90s. I'm sure that the glories, I mean the momentum, the hypes ada, cuma just a matter to please come to the stadium to support your favorite teams or your local teams, and then well, I can say that without the fans, the teams itself just cannot survive.
Yeah.
So please support our local teams, and then
Up to you. You can say that if you want.
together lah. We do together lah.
Okay, alright.
Okay. In the count of 1,
1, 2, 3.
Majulah bola-bola untuk negara.